A lot of the Jewish opposition to Paul was not that he was making things up. It was that, well, our concept of a Messiah is a king like David. And everybody knows David didn't have to suffer and die. Have you ever read the Psalms? Let's just recite one together in an older pronunciation of English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of... Did David ever get run to death? Well, his physical life never left him in that sense. But he talked about the language of what he did and what he suffered as death, and God pulling him out of the grave. And so it's easy that you could go, well, no, he's going to be a conqueror warrior like David. Yes, he is, and he's also going to suffer to the grave like David. Well, David never died. Read the Psalms. What did David say he went through? How did he couch it? And God did it literally with Jesus and sending him to the grave. Well, no, surely not. Okay, let's go to Isaiah. Let's talk about the suffering servant. Who is that servant? Well, of course, that's the Messiah. And what does he do? Well, he was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. Yet he will see the light of life. Oh, okay, maybe there is something to this. Well, surely, but that's only, no. Okay, let's go to Job. Job's a Gentile, and he says, I know that my Redeemer lives. So there's a resurrection element even in Job, the oldest Hebrew text that we have. And so it's all over your Old Testament. We just sometimes gloss right over it. So did Paul's Jewish audience. And so he's trying to get them to see this, and some people see it and go, all right, then I believe Jesus could be the Messiah. I'll put my faith in him, and I am part of that faith family in Jesus. Others didn't like it so much. That's where we pick up in verse 4. Some of the Jews were persuaded, I skipped a little bit, explaining that Jesus is the Messiah that he had to raise from the dead. This Jesus I'm proclaiming to you is the Messiah, he said. Verse 4, some of the Jews were persuaded and joined Paul and Silas, as did a large number of God-fearing Greeks. That God-fearing language right there. These are Gentile folks who worshiped under the Jewish system the God of the Old Testament. Okay, the God of the Bible. That's what they did. They were not Jewish. The men had not been circumcised. They had not fully gone to become Jewish. They were still Greek. They held on to their Greek identities, but they worshiped the God of the Bible. That's what they did in that Jewish system. And so that God-fearing Greeks, those were people already going to synagogue, and quite a few prominent women. But other Jews were jealous. So they rounded up some bad characters from the marketplace, and they formed a mob and started a riot in the city. And they rushed to Jason's house in search of Paul and Silas in order to bring them out into the crowd. But when they did not find them, they dragged Jason and some other believers before the city officials, shouting, "These men who have caused trouble all over the world have now come here." Is that good news? Probably not, right? Yeah. It's easy to think of all those problems being somewhere else, but when they come to your city, it's oh no. So that stirs up even more animosity toward them. And so they said they've caused trouble all over the world. They've come here. And Jason, this guy we all know, he's welcomed them into his house. And they are all defying Caesar's decrees, saying that there is another king, one called Jesus. And when they heard this, the crowd and the city officials were thrown into turmoil. Then they made Jason and the others post bond and let them go. As soon as it was night, the believers sent Paul and Silas away to Berea, and on arriving there, they went to the Jewish synagogue. Now the Berean Jews were of more noble character than those in Thessalonica, for they received the message with great eagerness, and they examined the Scriptures every day to see what Paul said was true. Again, where is Paul getting his message? From the Scriptures, from what we would call our Old Testament. And so he's just teaching them from texts. And when they're conflicted, when they hear something that doesn't sound right to them, or something they've never considered, where do they go? They don't go to popular opinion. They don't ask their friend, well, what do you think? They go back to the Scriptures. Can I see what he's saying in the Scriptures? I read that passage. I can see that. Is there anything else in the Scriptures that might illuminate that? Oh yeah, there's this text over here that kind of seems to back that up. Was there anything that contradicts it? I can't find anything. So if Paul's teaching from this text, and I see something that I haven't seen in the text, but now I see it, and I can't find anything in the text that argues with it,